But what is it then about? So according to you, what is it that makes a good facilitator and a good teacher and a good learner, someone who like is good at teaching others? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think first of all, like I would describe myself as a learning experience designer, which basically encompasses facilitation to a broad degree. And, apart from setting the design for learning, you can't actually design learning. That's up to the individual learning, but you can design for learning. But then the facilitation side, I believe is critical because you can create the most amazing plan, but if it's not facilitated well, there's kind of no point. So I would say, there's lots of elements that bridges over into the design world. So being a good facilitator, I would say, includes being learner-centric or human-centric, that you really look at and create empathy for who you are facilitating. One other part, and I was really humbled to get this feedback quite recently. I had a former student from Hyper Island for a master's degree that I ran there, said to me, I'm currently doing some research on psychological safety. I said, and this is when that was really sort of booming around the pandemic. Everybody was talking about psychological safety. And he said, you're really good at that. How do you create that? I'm just like, I'm really good at that. I'd never heard that before. It's never been like for me a thing. And that was really interesting. And I think from a facilitation point of view, creating an inclusive and safe space for learning is a given. Like that should be one, if not the top priority. You're never going to get students, learners, participants, whatever you want to call them in the context, to dare to do new things, to explore, to move from the safe zone into the stretch zone, into the learning zone. You're never gonna facilitate them getting there unless they feel safe.
Yeah. Where do you think others might be going wrong with that?
I think there's a whole legacy in facilitation that comes from instructional design and traditional teaching, which is very much one-way communication. Very often, if I think back to my old, I went to university in Istanbul first before London. And if anything was traditional, it was London Bosphorus University, albeit very good. I've got nothing bad to say about them, but that was your classic, old school lecture halls, a 60-odd-year-old professor, male, talking at you for a bit, and then you going off doing a test. I think there's a lot of legacy from traditional education. That's in the way, standing in the way. Whereas now, the best facilitators that I've come across, a lot of them come from different industries. It could be someone working within project management. It could have been someone working as a designer. It could have been, there's loads of transferable skills. But I would say the biggest difference is being a facilitator is not about you. At all. Although I do tend to make it about me quite a bit, but just as a joke.
Gonna keep people just keep them laughing.
If you like being on stage, well, it's an interesting topic actually, because one of the other areas that I think makes a good facilitator is actually daring to be yourself. Because when I joined Hyper Island, one of my colleagues, Max, was one of the first sort of professional facilitators I'd met, and he's amazing. He's very calm. He's very good at silence. He's very zen. Basically everything that I'm not. So for me, it's like, okay, so that's that's how a facilitator should behave. That's how a facilitator should be. And it, it wasn't the right mindset. So as soon as I got the chance to work with another facilitator on the other side sort of this spectrum, Tash, there's no one like Tash. Tash is amazing. She's the one. She's There is no one else like that. I thought, you know what, I can make this into my way of facilitating. I don't have to follow anyone else.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's no one else like you as well. You do it brilliantly.
Jenny, take the compliment.
No, I completely agree. I think people should always just be unapologetically their self, because that's the best version that they could possibly be.
Exactly. You said it really nail on head.